Item 9, public comment on items not on the agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and/or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Name and street, please.
Harry Peterson, Scenic Court. Mr. Mayor, City Council. Last time I spoke to you, as I recall, I said the agenda was not posted in the appropriate time before the meeting, and I'm reporting the same thing happened again for this meeting. But the reason I came was because the notice of proposed increases to water and wastewater rates, in it says that the water rates go up 9.8% and the sewer rates 10 point something. I made some calculations, and while it may be that your staff or consultants calculated that 9.8%, but when I run a calculation for the water rate differences from the existing rates for people billed at 15, 20, 25, and 30 units, which covers quite a span of water usage, I find that the percent difference is an increase of from 20 to 50%. And in 3 of the cases, it's more like 50% or more. I think this is a material difference from the way the rates increase is advertised to what it actually is. And in order to do this calculation, all you have to do is calculate how much you would pay for water at 15, 20, 25, and 30 units according to current rates and according to the proposed rates. It's not a complicated calculation. I suggest you might want to try it. I think if you wanted to actually have the rates go up 9.8%, what you would do is calculate the rates the way they are now and then add on 9.8%. So I think there's a problem with the way the proposed increases were advertised, but there's another effect that this is going to have when the rates, when a homeowner actually gets a bill for with a 20% to 50% increase on it, they're going to do exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut my water use. I'm not going to pay anymore. And what that'll do is, if there's enough people like me who would rather not spend more money, the city will end up having to raise the rates again, or they're not going to have any money to spend on capital improvement projects. I don't like people who present me with annoying problems and they have no solution. So the solution I would recommend to you is just add 9.8% to each bill, and probably no one will change their usage. So it's a pretty easy solution. And for the record, I'm still in favor of a rate increase. At the same time, I'm in favor of full, timely, and accurate public disclosure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John Barrelier, San Anselmo. I'm going to assume that shopping for food at the firehouse is not in their contract, and that shopping for food for the firehouse can be done fully and online. That shopping for the firehouse can be done online. It's not necessary to take a truck and 3 men to Safeway or Lenardi's or Lucky's to go shopping. When a truck and 3 firemen leave the firehouse to shop, that station is short in personnel and equipment. When the firemen take this unnecessary, unspoken, and unwritten perk, they leave the citizens of San Bruno vulnerable, and it's going to come back to bite us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm kind of afraid of the microphone.
It's all right. Just state your name and your street.
Okay.
That's all.
My name is Sarah Glasscock, and I live at 285 North San Anselmo. And I've lived in or around this neighborhood on and off for the past 15 years. Before today, I had never attended a city council meeting. I'm here to raise an issue about what I feel is a pretty blatant inequity in how the city handles parking enforcement through fines, the towing of cars, and the fact that these rules only apply to my neighborhood and all others which are located east of El Camino. Every other week on rotating days, just about every street in San Anselmo has street sweeping. In my neighborhood, near the heart of San Bruno, if I don't move my car before the time posted, parking patrol comes by and leaves me a $38 ticket. The officer that patrols our street is generally pretty understanding and has let us slide on a couple of occasions where I've had either a flat tire or we were waiting for a car part we ordered to arrive. As renters, we do not have access to off-the-street parking. When our truck breaks down, we have nowhere to park but on the street so my husband can repair it. We don't have a lot of money laying around to pay these parking tickets or to take our car to the car dealership. My husband does our car repair. I know I speak for every neighbor and city resident I've discussed this with when I ask the question, why are the neighborhoods east of El Camino subject to fines for parking when the rest of San Bruno isn't? Why are we the only ones playing what I like to call musical cars twice a month? Why is it okay for someone who lives on Oak or Bennington Drive to park their car, truck, boat, or trailer on the street for any number of days, weeks, or even years? I actually know of this is happening. I purchased my car from someone that lives in the Crestmore neighborhood. And before I bought it, it sat parked on the street in front of his house for over 4 years. Never once in 4 years was it ticketed, or was there a violation, or was there a notice that was in violation of the ordinance that states your car needs to be moved every 72 hours or it is subject to being towed. If I leave my truck in front of my house for 3 weeks, I get a notice to move. If I don't move, regardless of the reason, it's towed. Then I have even less money, right? After talking to a number of friends and neighbors about this issue, I decided to post an announcement to the San Bruno Patch website. If the number of responses I have received in just a few hours is any indication, I think it's time to revisit this issue. And I'm not the only person that posted something about this. Go to sanbrunopatch.com and punch in street sweeping, and there's a couple of pages worth of material if you guys ever feel like reviewing it. I received an equal number of responses from people that live on both sides of El Camino, which I totally did not expect. Not only are those of us on the east side tired of being the only source of parking ticket fine revenue, but those people that reside on the west side neighborhoods are tired of their neighbors' cars, trailers, and boats taking up permanent residence on the street, and that's a direct quote. It's my understanding that the rationale behind this ticketing practice has to do with the width of the street and the amount of parked cars in regards to the ability of the street sweeper to effectively clean the street. The streets within a 6-block radius of San Bruno Park are just as narrow and congested as the street where I live, which again is North San Anselmo. An example would be is that if 2 cars are driving head-on, it's difficult for either car to pull over to allow the other to pass, whether that's in my neighborhood, whether that's in the avenues, or whether that's on, say, Acacia Avenue. In addition, I drop my daughter off at Parkside School every morning. At 8 o'clock in the morning, the streets surrounding the school are just as congested as the streets surrounding my house after everyone leaves work. I don't notice any difference between my neighborhood in the heart of San Bruno and the areas surrounding San Bruno Park and Parkside Middle School. It's all just as crowded. So that to me is not a valid argument. There were more cars throughout San Bruno. Oh wait, I'm sorry. There are more cars throughout all of San Bruno than there were in 1990, which is about when I estimate that this bogus ordinance went into effect. While in the process of writing this, I was able to immediately find statistical data that supports this claim. I feel this ordinance should never have been passed in the first place, and now reasons for having passed it are not even valid, or no longer even valid. My proposed solution would be to patrol and ticket each street equally. If there is an issue with not having enough resources to hire the additional staff to patrol all of the streets in San Bruno, why not rotate the burden equally? For example, my street is currently ticketed on the first and third weeks of the month. Instead, ticket my street the first week of the month. On the third week of the month, find somewhere else to ticket on the other side of El Camino. Either all of San Bruno is subject to fines, or no one in San Bruno is subject to fines. I have absolutely no problem with the city collecting revenue through parking fines. I mean, that's fine. Every city needs revenue, especially now. But I have a problem with the fact that the East Side neighborhoods are being singled out. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have quite a few issues there, so we heard them. We can't really do much about them this evening, but the chief has heard those, and I'd like to get a report at the next meeting about a little history on what's happening and how things really have evolved over the last number of years. So you're absolutely right. Thank you.
Through the chair. And when the report, Mr. Mayor, when the report comes back, can they be notified so that they're aware of when the meeting is occurring? So if they wish to view it or be here in person to offer comments.
Look at the next couple of agendas, and we'll try to get some information on that. City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, if I might just ask your agreement to schedule this for the first meeting in July. I think we can do a better job between now and then rather than before the next meeting.
I know that the PD is pretty busy around the 4th of July, so
right.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think we want to look also at the issue of the utility of, or the need for the related to street sweeping. So that will involve the work of several of our departments.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's more than just ticketing and revenue. That's sort of a secondary. You know, a lot of that was started many years ago because we had a lot of flooding in the east side, and a lot of that is to, in fact, keep those storm drains clean. So that's part of it, but that's not the whole story. So we'll get it for you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks. Come back often. You weren't that bad with the microphone, you know. You did just fine. Thank you.